second grade. This is lesson 3. This is your last lesson of the week for math. Let's take a look at the read, draw, write of lesson 3. There's a lot of information, so it's going to look kind of scary, but it's really just the same stuff we were just talking about. This lesson, we are going to, if I read, last lesson we did picture graphs. This lesson we're doing bar graphs. It's the exact same thing. You just shade in the boxes instead of drawing the circles like we were in the last lesson. So on your read, draw, write, it says use the tally chart to fill in the picture graph. And we're looking at number of books read with Jose, Laura, and Linda. Then draw a tape diagram to show how many more books Jose read than Laura. So we need to do our tape diagram first. Jose, if you count the number of tally marks, how many books he read, that would be 8 tally marks. Linda read 5. Okay, and so it's asking you how many more did Jose read than Laura. Remember, you need to find this number right here. We know that we need to take 8, subtract 5 equals 3. So that's your first answer. Jose read 3 more books than Linda. The next question, it says, if Jose, Laura, and Linda read 21 books altogether, how many books did Linda read? If you notice in that little the tally mark chart, the number of books read in that table, they left it blank. So if Jose and Laura, Jose read 8 and Linda read 5, we have to add those together. Jose and Laura read 13 books together. But it says, what if all 3 of those guys read 21? So you have to take 21, subtract 13 to find out how many did Linda read, okay? So 21 minus 13, you would get, make sure I did this right, 8, okay? So Linda read 8 books. Then it wants you to complete the tally chart and the graph. So you need to go over, and in Linda's box, you're going to put 8 tally marks. So pretend this is our chart, and it says Linda, and it's blank. You need to put your 8 tally marks. See how I did my 5? And then go and on your picture graph, you're going to put circles again. Remember, we're using circles for the number of books. So each circle stands for 1 book. So under Jose, you're going to put how many circles? 8. How many circles would you put for Laura? 5. And then for Linda, how many circles are you going to put? 8 circles, and fill in your chart. Okay, so for the lesson then, I'm just kind of using the homework again, you guys, to talk about the lesson. So go ahead and turn to the first problem on your homework, lesson 3 homework, number 1. It gives you, just like with the picture graph, it gives you this table with some information. Various animal coverings at Jake's pet shop. All that means is what kind of fur or skin does the animal have. So fur, feathers, shells, and scales. That's what it has listed right here. Those are your categories. So it says 12 animals have fur, 9 animals have feathers, 8 have shells, and 11 have scales. So remember, the title of your bar graph, is going to match the title of this table. So I'm going to put animal coverings. That's my title. You can write the whole thing, but you can also shorten it. And then over here, this is the type of fur. This is the type of animal coverings. Fur. Erasing this redraw right now. Fur, feathers, shells, scales. You notice down here that there's these little lines after 0. You just need to fill in the numbers that make sense. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yours keeps going, but I kind of ran out of space. I'm just kind of showing you how to set it up. So fill in all the lines and count by 1. Sometimes it might make sense to count by 2 here too, but we can talk about that later. For now, just let's count by 1. So let's use our information at the top in this chart to fill in our bar graph. So we've been doing circles, haven't we? But we're not going to do circles today. We're going to shade in our boxes and make a bar graph. So let's go look. Fur. How many animals have fur at Jake's Pet Shop? 12. So you're going to shade in 12 of these boxes. Your bar graph is going to go this way. Okay, so just pretend that this is all shaded in. And remember, you use these numbers to tell you how many to shade over. My bar graph is only going to go to 8. Yours would go all the way down to 12. How many will have feathers? 9. So we're going to shade in 9 of these boxes. You just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and shade them in. Nice and neat, and shade them all the way. And again, these numbers are a little off. I didn't make it as big as yours, but yours will look a little different. Shells, you'll shade in 8. Just pretend. And scales, you'll shade in 11. Okay? So your bars will all be different sizes depending on whatever table information you're given. So that's what a bar graph looks like. Then you need to answer your questions A, B, and C that have to do with your bar graph. And again, at the bottom, it says write and answer your own comparison question based on the data. You just have to look at the data and ask yourself a question. How many more feathers were there than shells? That would be your question, and your answer would be there are 1 more feather than shell coverings at Jake's Pet Shop. So you can just come up with your own comparison question, but if you need help with that, you can send me, an email. So then if you want to look on problem number 2, instead of the numbers down here, the numbers go on the side here on problem number 2. And then down here is where you're going to write your categories, meat, plants, meat and plants. So it's a little different. The numbers go up and the categories go down. And it's the same thing. It's still a bar graph. You just have kind of flipped it on its side. And then you answer your questions once you fill in the information. Don't forget to put your title. Fill in the information from your chart up here. And then write your comparison question. And those are bar graphs, you guys.